This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. Chad C. Meek is my special guest. He is the writer, director, executive producer, and has taken his own early childhood UFO abduction experiences and time spent with his uncle, George Van Tassel, who was with us from 1910 to 1978, to tell an epic story about early space contactees movement that occurred at a place called Giant Rock. Now, this epic story is based on true events. It's being referred to by many as the most definite proof and possibly the greatest UFO story never told. And joining me now is Chad Meek. And Chad, welcome to the X-Zone.
Rob, thank you for having me tonight.
Chad, tell us about your very own UFO experience.
Well, actually, they began when I was 4 years old. They occurred out at, we lived very close to Giant Rock. We lived with my grandmother, who was George's mother-in-law. They began then. There was a lot of UFO. It was a hotbed of activity out there. Essentially, what had occurred was... I was swinging on a swing set and literally pulled up vertically and being told to let go. And then I said no, hung on for dear life. And what subsequently occurred is they came back at night and they actually teleported me, did the usual, freeze you, essentially immobilize you and bring you in. And I was actually... brought through a glass window somehow and literally terrorized at that early age because I simply didn't understand. In fact, it's taken me years and years to figure out exactly what they were doing with me. But they brought me into a spaceship, and it was stainless steel, completely. It looked like either a modern-day surgical center, and I was placed on there, and from that point, I don't recall anything happening. I just remember waking up the next day with a severe stuttering problem and a high fever, and I was extremely disorientated from the whole event. But that was first of several. They actually even followed me from the remote area of Giant Rock, and I believe who these people were. They were, in fact, the Greys. They actually followed me to a place called Pomona, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. And these things occurred till I was about 8 years old. Then they stopped. But those were my early experiences. And other things that occurred out there were voices and things talking to me out of the sky. A lot of interesting things going on. It was a very wide open place, very, very eclectic, mystical. And I actually had many instances where I was missing for 4 or 5 hours and not having the explanation where I was or what I was doing. But it was quite normal for small children to kind of roam around. That's what you did out there, just a wide open space. You didn't have fences. Rarely had neighbors. My neighbors were, in fact, my Uncle George and my Aunt Eva and some other relatives, but essentially it was just a very remote area, and you just kind of walk around. But those are my experiences that I had, and of course I've had subsequently, many sightings and what have you, all the way up to about 3 weeks ago. So yeah, that's my early experience as far as with that. And I went through hypnotherapy twice and could not get past what they were doing to me. For some reason, I'd become violently ill, and I would literally stop the process. And I felt really kind of, it wasn't a comfortable or a safe space for me. So I haven't done that for a while. Last time I did it was in Denver, and relived the whole episode until what they were doing to me. For some reason, I can't get past that. So, but they were vivid. They specifically happened to me. I was in the same room with two other brothers of mine, an older brother and a younger brother at that time, and they didn't have any experiences themselves. The only family members that actually had anything out there was my mother and my sister and myself, and we actually had a flyby by a low, very fast-moving saucer type thing at night, and that's the only thing. Part of the questions most people ask me, is it your family have this? Well,
all right, Chad, we have to take a commercial break here. Please stand by. Exonation Chad Meek is our special guest. His website is www.giantrockthemovie.com, and Chad and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break to continue this fascinating story here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Welcome back, everyone. Chad Meek is my very special guest this hour. We're talking about Giant Rock, the movie. His website is www.giantrockthemovie, and it's being heralded as the greatest UFO story never told. Thanks very much for joining us, Chad. Great talking to you. You talked about your own experience. You talked about, how you as a young child would find yourself missing time. You told us about the ship that you remembered. You also said that you believe it was the Greys. I have to ask you this question. Why you?
It's a great question, and I'm a metaphysician. I do counseling and what have you, and really it's given me a thirst to find out exactly why me. And through some of my research in particularly astrological aspects, there's certain aspects and certain people that are really, I guess would say, foreordained to experience these things. The reason for me, I believe at the time, was to come out at this time. I think I was kind of like a sleeper capsule to do that. But in answer as far as why me, I think it was, and I guess now that I'm actually the experiencer, probably one of the very or actually living during that time period to actually say anything about it, to be able to at least intelligently, I think I was chosen to actually do this, and. So hence, it gave me a thirst for all things metaphysical, paranormal, trying to figure out why me, just trying to answer that question, why me? And so it really set me on a direction in my thoughts and in my avocations, everything. Particularly me to actually answer that really great question. I believe I have the answer because it had to be me. I'm, for some reason in my family, I'm more successful than others. I'm able to write, able to articulate various subjects, and so I think there was a real definite purpose for me to, at least at this time period, to come back and give a report on this time period. And Giant Rock was, in fact, the crossroads of so many different things, and trying to put it together has actually taken me a considerable amount of time, because there's so many different people, so many different personalities, from Howard Hughes to Jack Parsons to L. Ron Hubbard. All these people were out there at this 8-story carved out rock and doing a lot of interesting things. There it was just essentially the crossroads, and for that reason I was there and a observer during this time of discovery. That one of the main principals died in around 2001. I was able to build a relationship with him to get some of the real inside story as far as what's going on, because mind you, I was a small child. My uncle was this gigantic guy who was well known around the world, was a regular on Long John Neville's show, which Larry King took over out of New York. He bantered with Jackie Gleason. We find out later that people from Winston Churchill to Harry Truman, all through all the presidents, they all knew quite well what was going on out there. They had a handle on it.
What was going on out there?
There was a lot of occultic experimentation. My uncle was his tag was when he was interviewed for a Life. He made the cover of Life magazine, and